Montage cuts. A crowded bazaar bursting with color, a swarm of tuk-tuks honking through traffic, the calm flow of the Ganges at sunrise, faces smeared with Holei colors, a peaceful Himalayan landscape. I thought I knew Asia. I've lived in Japan, wandered the temples of Thailand, eaten my way across Vietnam. But nothing prepared me for India. Quick flashes, sizzling street food, a holy man meditating, a child offering a smile, skyscrapers rising above slums, fireworks exploding during Diwali. India is not just a country you visit. It's a storm, a symphony, a contradiction. One moment it overwhelms you with chaos, the next it silences you with beauty. It challenges what you think you know, about travel, about culture, even about yourself. Camera slows into a calmer shot, maybe sipping chai with locals, or sitting on temple steps watching life unfold. This isn't just another travel vlog. This is a journey through the heart of India, a raw, emotional, and unforgettable awakening. So come with me, as I discover why no matter how much of Asia you've seen, you'll never truly understand it until you experience India. Before landing in India, I thought I had a pretty good idea of what to expect. Bollywood musicals, endless plates of curry, yoga retreats in peaceful ashrams, and of course, the postcard-perfect image of the Taj Mahal. Most of what I knew came filtered through Western media, bright, exotic, but often oversimplified. Friends who had traveled here before added their warnings. Brace yourself for the chaos. Watch out for the scams. Be ready for dirt and crowds. Somewhere between the glossy travel ads and the horror stories, I built a picture of India that felt familiar, yet shallow. But the moment I arrived, that picture shattered. The airport was modern and buzzing with people, yet strangely chaotic at the same time. Luggage carts swerved around each other like they were caught in traffic patterns of their own. My first rickshaw ride was the real initiation, a sensory explosion I could never have imagined. The honking wasn't random noise. It was like a language of its own, each beep meaning I'm here, I'm passing, or careful. The smell of burning incense drifted into the sharp tang of exhaust fumes, mixed with the tempting aroma of frying snacks from roadside stalls. Colors blurred together as saris flashed past the windows, shop signs competed for attention, and cows wandered lazily through the madness. That's when it hit me. India isn't a cliché. It's an experience too layered, too alive, to ever fit inside a stereotype. Once I stepped out of that first rickshaw, I realized India's streets are a world of their own. At any given moment, you can see a businessman in a crisp suit stepping out of a taxi, a child chasing a kite between traffic, a woman selling flowers from a basket, and a cow lounging in the middle of the road, all sharing the same space. There are bicycles balancing impossible loads, tuk-tuks weaving through impossible gaps, and street vendors yelling out deals as if every second counts. It's motion without pause, life without filter. What looks like madness at first slowly begins to reveal its rhythm. This isn't chaos. For the sake of chaos, it's organized chaos, a system that only makes sense once you stop resisting it. The noise is constant, but it isn't angry. A honk here isn't road rage. It's survival, a way to signal presence in a sea of moving bodies and machines. The air itself is heavy with scents, incense curling out from a temple doorway, the earthy smell of fresh fruit stacked on. Wooden carts, sizzling samosas dripping with spice, and yes, the sharp reminder of open drains nearby. Every sense is assaulted, but it's this very overload that makes India pulse with energy. This chaos doesn't push you away. It pulls you in, demanding that you surrender and experience it on its own terms. More than just curry, and then there's the food. Coming in, I thought Indian food meant one thing: curry. A vague, catch-all word Westerners toss around for anything remotely spicy. But it took only one day to realize how naive that assumption was. India isn't one cuisine. It's hundreds, each tied to a region, a culture, a history. In Mumbai, I bit into a Veda pav, a spiced potato fritter tucked into bread, cheap yet bursting with flavor. In Delhi, I burned my tongue on tangy panipuri, little fried shells filled with spicy water that hit you with sweet, sour, and heat all at once. Down south, a dosa as wide as the table arrived, crispy and golden, wrapped around spiced fillings I could barely pronounce. What shocked me wasn't just the heat of the spices, but the complexity of it all. Spicy didn't just mean hot, it meant layers of flavor: tangy tamarind, cooling yogurt, sharp ginger, smoky chili. Each bite told a story. Each dish carried a history of migration, trade, and tradition. And more than the food itself, it was the way it was shared that stood out. Meals weren't individual portions. They were spread across the table, eaten with hands, served with laughter. Strangers would insist I take an extra bite, offering me food even when I had nothing to give in return. That's when I realized, in India, food isn't just nourishment. It's connection, it's hospitality, it's love. India is often described as the land of spirituality, but you don't need to step inside an ashram to feel it. Faith here isn't locked behind temple doors. It's everywhere, woven into the rhythm of daily life. One morning I found myself in a temple, barefoot on cool stone floors, the air filled with the ringing of bells and the fragrance of sandalwood. Later that day, I heard the azan. Rising from a nearby mosque, its call to prayer echoing across the rooftops. A short walk away stood a church glowing with candles, and not far beyond, a Gurudwara where volunteers offered free meals to anyone, regardless of religion or status. India's soundscape is spiritual. The deep, resonant conch shells, the hum of chants, the rhythmic clapping during bhajans, the haunting melody of the azan. And then there was Varanasi, the Ganga Artai at sunset. Standing on the ghats as priests swung massive lamps of fire, their movements perfectly synchronized with drums and chants, I felt goosebumps rise across my skin. It wasn't about religion in that moment. It was about energy, a collective devotion that you could feel in your bones. What struck me most was the contrast. Modern glass towers reflecting the sky, while just a few streets away, age-old rituals continued unchanged for centuries. Spirituality here wasn't about choosing one faith. It was about recognizing that the sacred is everywhere. In India, the divine isn't distant. It's in the streets, in the rivers, in the laughter of strangers, in the silence between the chaos. But with wonder came challenges, some small, some overwhelming. Despite English being widely spoken, language barriers still found a way to sneak in. Simple things like ordering food or asking for directions turned into charades, where gestures often spoke louder than words. Personal space, as I knew it, simply vanished. Crowds pressed in from every side, at markets, in trains, even while waiting in line. At first, it felt suffocating, but over time, I realized it was just part of the flow of life here. Markets were another battlefield of patience and persistence. Bargaining wasn't just expected, it was an art form. What started as exhausting soon became a game, one where smiles often closed the deal as much as the price. Yet India wasn't only challenging in the cultural sense, it tested me physically too. The pollution in big cities made the air heavy, the heat left me drained, and yes, like almost every traveler, I eventually lost a battle with Delhi belly. It was frustrating, uncomfortable, and humbling all at once. But that's the thing about India. It demands resilience. It pushes you out of your comfort zone until you stop clinging to control. Slowly, I learned to laugh at the inconveniences, to let go of impatience, to accept that delays and discomforts were just part of the journey. And in that surrender, I found freedom. Kindness of strangers for every challenge. India seemed to answer back with kindness. One night in Delhi, lost and disoriented, I asked a stranger for directions. Instead of pointing vaguely, he walked me nearly half an hour to my hostel, refusing to leave until I was safe. In another city, a family I had just met invited me into their home for chai, serving snacks as if I were an old friend. They asked nothing in return, just curious about my story, eager to share theirs. Even small moments carried warmth. A rickshaw driver who drove me late at night waved away the extra money I offered, simply smiling and saying, "You are my guest." That phrase, Adithai Devo Bhava, meaning the guest is God, isn't just a slogan. It's something people live by. And this is the paradox of India. It can feel overwhelming, even harsh at times, but then someone's kindness will stop you in your tracks. It reminds you that beneath the noise and the struggle, there's a deep humanity, a culture that values connection and generosity over transactions. In those moments, the chaos fades, and you feel held. India through festivals. If everyday life in India feels like a festival of its own, then the actual festivals are something beyond imagination. Take Holi, for example, 1 minute. You're a stranger, the next you're drenched head to toe in bright powders, laughing alongside people you've never met. The barriers of language and culture dissolve under a cloud of colors. Fear is replaced with pure joy. Then comes Diwali, the festival of lights. Streets glow with lanterns and diyas, fireworks crackle in the night sky, and homes open their doors with trays of sweets. There's a warmth in the air, not just from the lights, but from the sense of togetherness. During Eid, I saw neighbors of different faiths embracing each other. Plates of biryani passed around to anyone willing to share in the moment. And beyond these national festivals, each region carries its own. Pongal in Tamil Nadu, where harvest is celebrated with decorated cattle and pots of rice boiling over in prosperity. Onam in Kerala, with its grand boat races and floral carpets. Durga Puja in Kolkata, where the city transforms into an art gallery of temporary temples, alive with music and dance. Each festival has its own flavor, but together they tell one story, that India is diverse, yes, but it's also united. A land where celebration isn't confined to a single group or belief, but something that spills into the streets, inviting everyone in. Contrasts everywhere. One of the first things you notice in India is the contrasts. Walk into a glittering, air-conditioned mall filled with luxury brands, and step outside to see a street vendor asleep on the pavement after a long day of work. In Mumbai, sleek black BMWs glide past, only to brake suddenly as a bullock cart ambles across the same road. Skyscrapers with rooftop infinity pools rise high above Dharavi, one of Asia's largest slums, where narrow lanes bustle with workshops, artisans, and children playing cricket. At first, the inequality feels jarring, almost too much to take in. But the longer you spend in India, the more you realize this coexistence isn't just tolerated, it's part of the country's identity. The rich and poor, the ancient and modern, the sacred and the secular, all exist side by side, often within the same block, sometimes even on the same street. It's a reminder that India doesn't erase contradictions, it absorbs them, somehow making room for all of it. The landscape of extremes traveling through India feels like traveling across an entire continent. In the north, the Himalayas pierce the sky with snow-covered peaks, monasteries clinging to cliffs, and trails that test your endurance but reward you with serenity. Journey west to Rajasthan, and the scenery transforms into endless golden deserts, camel caravans moving slowly beneath ancient forts that glow in the evening sun. Head south, and Kerala welcomes you with emerald backwaters, where houseboats glide past coconut trees swaying lazily in the breeze. And if you crave the ocean, Goa offers wide, sandy beaches that carry a hint of Portuguese heritage in their architecture, food, and music. Every corner of India feels like a different country, yet somehow it's all stitched together by a common thread of culture, history, and resilience. To say India is diverse doesn't do it justice. It's more accurate to say that India contains multitudes. Learning patience and adaptability, of course, India also teaches you lessons the hard way. Train delays stretch for hours, traffic jams turn 20-minute rides into 2-hour odysseys, and paperwork at government offices can feel like a never-ending puzzle. Coming from a Western mindset of schedules and efficiency, it's easy to grow frustrated. But then I learned about Jugaad, India's unique way of problem-solving, where creativity and flexibility often matter more than rigid systems. A broken fan, fixed with a string and tape. A bus running late. People start chatting, sharing food, turning strangers into friends. India forces you to let go of control, to stop clinging to expectations, and to adapt to whatever comes your way. And once you do, something magical happens. You stop fighting the current and start flowing with it. Adaptability isn't just a skill in India, it's survival. The emotional rollercoaster living, even briefly, in India is an emotional rollercoaster. There are days when exhaustion hits hard, when hunger pangs strike in the middle of a crowded street, when culture shock makes you want to retreat. Surrounded by millions, you can still feel profoundly alone. But then, just as suddenly, India lifts you up. A street musician's song, a stranger's smile, the laughter of children playing cricket in the alleys. These moments pierce through the struggle and fill you with joy. What I came to understand is that surviving India isn't just about managing the physical, it's about emotional resilience. You have to ride the highs and the lows, knowing that neither lasts forever. And in that ride, you begin to discover something deeper, that life, in all its chaos and beauty, is meant to be felt fully, not controlled. Breaking stereotypes before coming here, so many people told me, India is poor. It's chaotic, it's stuck in the past. And yes, those elements exist, but that's not the whole story. Travel to Bangalore or Hyderabad, and you'll see why India is called the world's IT powerhouse. Towering tech campuses, bustling co-working spaces, startups launching apps that reach millions worldwide. In Mumbai, young entrepreneurs pitch bold ideas. In Delhi, women are breaking barriers in business, science, and politics. India isn't frozen in time. It's moving fast, innovating, and redefining its place on the global stage. From space missions to cutting-edge AI research, from grassroots activism to global cinema, India is far more than the cliches it's often reduced to. The more I explored, the more I realized modern India isn't about abandoning tradition, but about blending it with progress in a way that's uniquely its own. What India taught me looking back, India wasn't just another destination, it was a teacher. It humbled me, reminding me that no matter how much I thought I knew, I was barely scratching the surface. It taught me gratitude, in the way people found joy with so little. It taught me patience, in the endless delays that somehow always led to the right place. It taught me spirituality, not as a rigid religion, but as a search for meaning in daily life. And above all, it taught me humanity. The kindness of strangers, the warmth of shared meals, the unspoken connections that cut across barriers of language, class, or culture. India isn't a trip. It isn't a box you check off a bucket list. It's an experience that stays with you, reshaping how you see the world long after you leave. For me, it changed not just how I see Asia, but how I see myself. So if you ever plan to come here, don't come with a checklist. Don't come expecting comfort or predictability. Come with an open heart, ready to be challenged, surprised, and moved in ways you can't imagine. Because in the end, I thought I knew Asia until I experienced India. And now, I realize you can't really know India. You can only feel it.